fibre bundles at Must Farm are a really exciting category of find because they're not like anything found on other sites in the British Isles, in fact much more widely across Europe. They're a really unusual category of find. In that way, they're also quite difficult to understand, and I think the obvious question, well, what do you mean by a fibre bundle? All the fibres for the fabrics at Must Farm come from plants, and so this is a technology of people having to extract those fibres from plants, prepare them ready to be made into the next stage of the process, and that might be to be spliced and plied into fine yarns. It might be working the tree bast fibres to process into those coarser yarns being used for twining. But whatever this process is, people need to look after the fibres, because if you don't look after fibres, they get tangled. And if you tangle your fibres, you've wasted your crop. So you need a way to look after your fibres. And this is something we see really beautifully at Must Farm, and this is a really important part of this assemblage. So a fibre bundle, and I'll show you an example here, is literally the result of people having processed the plants to then extract the fibres, and they're looking after those fibres by making them into a bundle. These are two examples of bundles of fibres. They're black, that's because of the way that they've been preserved. So they wouldn't have been black originally. And nestled in here is one of the fibre bundles. And we can just see the back of that. And this is part of a bundle. And these were a real enigma when I first looked at them coming out of the ground, and also completely fascinating. So there's no other finds like this to compare them to. So it's a real sort of investigation to try and work out what these bundles are and how they've been made and processed. So far in the fibre identification that my colleague Margarita Glaber has done, some of these fibre bundles are made from bast fibre from the nettle taxon. So we're looking at people have processed the nettles to extract the fibres, and how then have they bunched those together? Well, I did a lot of work over the whole assemblage of these fibre bundles to try and work out how that bundle was made. And what it appears that is that as the fibres were extracted from the plants, a whole number of these fibres were laid together, a little bit like a ponytail. So hair is a bit like your animal fibres, of course. So a bit like a ponytail, they put together a number of, the whole bunch of these fibres and put a little tie on that. They tied those together. And they created several of these sort of ponytails of plant fibres, and then put those together. And how they did this, through understanding the way that these bundles had been tucked and turned and folded, how they did this is several of those sort of ponytails of tied fibre. They then put over, and I'm convinced this was someone's hand, they put those over a hand. So they sort of laid three of these ponytails over the hand, and then they've tucked them up and tied them again. And this is, we see ties around the outside of those bundles. So that's how the fibre bundle was made, and it was stored as this bundle of fibre.